It is 10 a.m. and I would like to call this Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District meeting to order. We will start with a salute to the flag. Chief Swiak, can you please lead us? Sorry, sir.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And now, Madam Clerk, can you please do our roll call?
Sure. Chair Alexis Hill.
Here.
Vice Chair Jeannie Herman. Michael Clark.
Present.
Mary Liz Garcia. Here. Clara Andriola.
Present.
Fire Chief Charles Moore.
Here.
Deputy District Attorney Wade Kerner.
Here.
And I'm Kathy Smith, Chief Deputy Clerk. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We will now begin with public comment. Chief, can you lead us into that?
Item number 3 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the Board of Fire Commissioners agenda. The district will also hear public comment during individual action items, with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the Board of Fire Commissioners as a whole.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
No one is signed in.
Okay. Chief, can you please lead us into item 4, please?
Item 4 is Commissioners, Fire Chiefs announcements, requests for information, topics for future agendas, and statements relating to items not on the agenda. And no discussion among commissioners will take place on this item.
Thank you, Chief. I will go to Commissioner Clark first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to acknowledge on 6/6 of 1944, one of the largest seaborne invasions in history took place when the Allied forces landed on Normandy. So let's just take a moment of silence and think about those heroes that are no longer with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners have comments? Chief, do you have anything for us today?
I just wanted to mention that we're going to pull item 5G off the consent.
Okay, thank you for
Agenda.
that. And any other commissioners have comments? Seeing none, I will now move to consent with 5G removed. And Chief Moore, did you also have a correction on one of these items?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a small correction on item F, 5F, and it relates to the fiscal note. In the fiscal impact, the engine has a book value of $0, not $25,700. And the book value and sale proceeds will be $20,000, not $5,700 as stated in the fiscal impact.
Not 50? Oh, no, 5,000.
Not $5,700, but
Okay.
$20,000 is what we're selling it for.
Okay, but this doesn't affect whether we can approve this today. Okay. Then I am, Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on the consent?
We do not.
Okay. I am looking for a motion on the consent agenda items minus 5G.
So move.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Garcia and a second by Vice Chair Herman. Any questions on the comment? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none. Okay. And that is approved unanimously. Chief, will you please help us go into item 6?
Item 6 is,
Oh, did I?
excuse me, Madam Chair, item 6, our introduction and badge pinning of promotional employees, which is why we have so many firefighters here and a lot of shiny stuff.
Very exciting.
Good morning. For the record, August Eisenhagen, Division Chief with Truckee Meadows Fire. Can I get our 3 newly promoted squad bosses and your pinners down here, please? As this group is coming up to the front of the room, I'd like to give a brief history of the Wildland Division and where we've come from over the last 3 years. So 3 years ago, last month, the Wildland Division was stood up with 6 personnel, 1 engine, and our first external funding source of just over $1 million. To date, these personnel, most are in the room with us today, they have spent over 1,000 personnel days committed to incident over the last 3 years. They've treated thousands of acres of hazardous fuels across the county. They've treated hazardous fuels around tens of thousands of power poles. They have collected and processed over 10 million pounds of hazardous wildland fuels through our green waste program. Our funding to support the division has increased tenfold over the last 3 years, and the personnel included within the division have increased sixfold. The complexities and diversities of the missions that the division are able to accomplish has increased exponentially. And the reason that I bring this up is I'm frequently asked both by internal TM folks as well as cooperators that would like to follow suit. I'm asked how we did that. And the short answer is 100% because of the people that are in the room today. Those staff jumped into a brand new program with both feet and then happily and energetically tackled all those extra duties as assigned, and that's how we built this. So today we are here to honor some of those individuals with their promotional pinnings. With that, I'll dive in to the squad bosses first. First up, we have Cameron Moore. Cameron began his fire career with Tahoe Douglas Fire Protection District in 2018, where he spent 3 years on the Zephyr Hand Crew. He also spent 2 years on ski patrol with Mount Rose Ski Resort and came to TM in the summer of 2020. Since promoting, Cameron oversees all technological aspects of the Wildland Division. All Wildland Division personnel travel simultaneous paths as TM employees, but also as subcontracted employees with NV Energy. This comes with complexities relating to GIS systems, hardware, software, radios, fire detection and monitoring cameras, and numerous applications, all of which fall under Mr. Moore's purview with his new position. Mr. Moore has been promoted from crew member to squad boss, and we will be pinned by his fiancee, Lauren Lawton. Next in the hot seat, we have Mr. Colin Thompson. Colin began his journey in the fire service in 2015 when he went through the Fire Academy at TMCC. He then continued his development on hand crews with North Lake Tahoe Fire Protection District in 2015 and continued on to do a year on a wildland engine with the National Park Service in California. He had started as a reserve with an agency outside of Sacramento and was nearing the end of his first year there when he was picked up by us in November of 2020. Since joining Truckee Meadows, Colin has been instrumental in numerous elements of the Wildland Division. During staffing changes in the spring of 2022, Colin was voluntold to keep us on track with our SNPLMA grant award. Without Mr. Thompson's efforts, the Wildland Division, Truckee Meadows, and TM citizens would have lost that $800,000 funding source. Since his promotion, Colin has also taken on all duties relating to fuel management and fire behavior in the wildland urban interface. He's continued to perform community assessments in our WUI areas to update community wildfire protection plans, attended PR events, and oversees our efforts to update every CWPP in the county and to double the number of communities that are certified in the FireWise program. Mr. Thompson has promoted from crew member to squad boss and will be pinned by his fiancee, Kayla. For the squad boss portion, last but not least, next we have Logan Nordike. Logan began his adventure in the fire service in 2002 with the Bureau of Indian Affairs on hand crews. After that, he did 3 years on contract engines. In 2005, he went through the Fire Academy with TMCC before moving to Nevada Division of Forestry in 2006. During his time with NDF, he spent 3 years in the engine program, followed by 7 years in the helicopter attack program. In 2017, Mr. Nordyke became a crew captain with the Conservation Camp Program, training and responding to emergencies with inmate hand crews. During his time in the camp program, he also ran the specialized logging crew comprised of inmate personnel. After nearly a 20-year career, Logan started over as a crew member with TM in 2021. In addition to these career elements, Logan also carries the honor of being an Eagle Scout. Since promoting to the role of squad boss, Mr. Nordyke has taken on the Wildland Division's Green Waste Program, including scheduling, staffing, and budgetary management of these immensely popular events. Mr. Nordyke has been promoted from crew member to squad boss and will be pinned by his mother, Cheryl. One more to go. Mr. Creighton, can you come up with your pinner, please? Our last promotional pinning is Adam Creighton. Adam began his career as a volunteer in his home state of Kansas in 2004. This spurred his interest in the fire service, and he remained a volunteer until finishing his associate's degree in fire science in 2008. After completion of his degree, Adam began working in wildland fire with the BLM and United States Forest Service in 2008, where he served on engines and wildfire use modules with the majority of his time as a Silver State hotshot. In 2020, Adam joined the TM Wildland Division as a squad boss and has been overseeing the wildland urban interface community components outlined in Mr. Thompson's duties. Since his promotion, Adam has taken on all contracts for service and their oversight. This includes TM contracts with the Forest Service and the University of Nevada, Reno, with the hopeful addition of a contract with Nevada Department of Transportation for hazard tree removal. In addition to Adam's specific duties, he also oversees and maintains programs ran by his subordinates within the division, including our herbicide application program, Wildland Division training program, and Mr. Nordyke and Mr. Thompson's green waste and WUI community programs. Adam is being promoted to crew boss and is being pinned by his wife, Allie. Those are our 4 promotions. Would the board like a
Yeah.
photo op?
Let's go shake hands and get a photo.
All right.
We'll break for a second. Love to see that great leadership being developed here at TM, so thank you all for your service. And now we will move into item 7, Chief Moore.
Madam Chair, with your permission, may we take an item out of order?
Absolutely.
I'd like to, give me just a moment. If we could take item number 14 right now, as our insurance brokers are here, and just to save them a little bit of time.
Absolutely. We'll move into item 14 and then come back to item 7. Chief Moore.
So item 14 is a recommendation to approve the property and liability insurance and workers' compensation insurance proposal for the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District for 1 year beginning July 1st, 2023, for a total estimated annual premium of $1,768,114, and authorized purchase of insurance based upon the proposal. The proposal includes property, casualty, professional, and excess liability insurance to be provided by VFIS, and will include crime, employee theft insurance through Travelers Bond and Specialty, cyber liability through AIG Specialty, and workers' compensation through 7710 Insurance Company. We have Mr. Brandon Lewis and Mr. Tony Veneris here if there are any questions for the board.
I'm looking to my board. Are there any questions on this item? I am seeing none. Are folks ready to make a motion? Or do we have public comment?
We do not.
Madam Clerk, thank you. Now, are folks ready to make a motion unless there's questions? Thank you, Commissioner Andriola. I have a motion from Commissioner Andriola. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Second from Vice Chair Herman. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, and that item passes. Thank you, Chief. We will go back to item 7.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 7 is the International Association of Firefighters Local 2487 report.
Great.
And Vice President Jamie Rivera is coming to the podium.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jamie Rivera, Vice President, Local 2487. Just want to note a couple highlights that happened in the last couple of months. The golf tournament, we were able to raise $35,000 for the North Nevada and Children's Cancer Foundation. Our first annual pickleball tournament, we were able to raise $3,500, which is good. No fireman won that tournament, but at the end of the day, it's all for charity. And then we have been picked up by the Reno Rodeo on June 22nd for the 50-50 raffle again this year. So that's
wonderful.
really exciting. So improve our funds. On that, if you guys don't have any questions, that'll be good to go.
Any questions?
Any questions for me?
I'm not seeing any, and I love the pictures of the pickleball tournament, so next year we'll have to get the commission.
I'll try to wear something nice next year.
Yeah.
Nicer. Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you very much. All right, we will go into item 8. Chief.
Item 8 is the Fire Chief's report. I don't have much to add to items A1 and 2 unless you have questions.
Okay.
But I'll jump into item A3. I'd like to Ms. Francis okay, we are going to run a video here. This was a fire called the Rock Farm Fire in Arrow Creek about 3 or 4 years ago. And this is after we've ordered full evacuation. People should be leaving, but unfortunately what we're seeing is people watching the fire and the air show of the tankers dropping retardant. This is a short video, so I'll let it run to the end. This was taken on the dash cam of our deputy chief at the time. What we're trying to illustrate here is that when we call to full evacuation, there's not a lot of people leaving, there's a lot of people watching. So I had met with Commissioner Clark just briefly about evacuations generally in Arrow Creek and want to apply this principle district-wide, and that is trying to protect in place rather than call for a full evacuation on each and every fire. This is going to take a little bit more public education with respect to how we communicate this to people. But what we're seeing generally is, and we do call a big evacuation, that we're not getting everybody to leave when we need them to leave. And the salient point out of the video is that all that traffic blocks the ability of the fire department to deploy resources. So Chief Eisenhagen, if there's anything that you'd like to add to that, but we are going to shift some strategies, and it's always a very complicated and not always straightforward decision on when we protect in place and when we evacuate. But we think it's important to start communicating this to the public so that we're not having a collision between people trying to get out and us getting in. So Chief, I'll let you add a few things to that.
Again, for the record, August Eisenhagen, Division Chief, Truckee Meadows Fire. I think Chief hit it on the head. We frequently get asked as we're engaging with communities what the plan is going to be when we have an evacuation. And the short answer is we have no cookie cutter plan.
Right.
It depends on fuel, weather, topography, the community itself. Sometimes it's appropriate to evacuate. Sometimes shelter in place is a better option. Sometimes we have a day's notice. Sometimes we have 15 minutes notice. So we don't have a good fallback answer for X community should go X direction. The bottom line and the most important piece that we would like the constituents to understand is whatever the plan ends up being in that scenario, we need the public to listen. That's evidenced in that video. Several years ago when the Beckworth fire came towards 395, we evacuated Rancho Haven. I'd say less than 1% of the community chose to leave. Last year during the Joy fire up off Joy Lake Road, same thing. We had more people going towards the fire to watch what was happening than we had leaving the neighborhood. So I think the bottom line messaging that we would like to remind the citizens is regardless of what the plan is in the scenario, when we say go or stay or whatever it is, please listen and follow those instructions.
Thank you for that. I know that communities in my district want that cookie cutter solution, and every incident is different. We don't want to ever tell someone that they'd be evacuating to the place where it was most dangerous because that was the last exercise. So there's work to be done on that, and I'm sure that the app that we have invested in hopefully will help notify people as well. Are we working on those kind of messages?
That's ready to roll out, I understand, from the emergency manager has it live. And the beauty of that piece of software is that anybody from their smartphone or from their desktop can click on a link and get real-time information about the fire. So our intent is to push a lot of information. In the absence of information, people make up their own.
Right.
So we want to give them the most complete and most accurate information that we have. Let them know what their risk is and let people make decisions. But we want to stress that when we order an evacuation, it's not being done lightly. It's very necessary to consider getting your house in order, picking up the possessions that you need to take and putting them in your red bag and go. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to have some changes, obviously, this year, some learning curves with that new software, but I think very soon we're going to push out some more public information on that, of just how that's going to work. So that concludes my chief's report and item. Unless there's more questions about that, I'd be glad.
I've got some commissioners signed in. Commissioner Clark?
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank the chief for meeting with me the other day and explaining some situations. But this is some basic common sense. Is I understand some people want to stay and defend their property. That's one thing, but to stand in the middle of the road and rubberneck and watch this and prevent the professionals from getting in, it doesn't make any sense. It's we all are taught to pull over when we hear a siren, a fire truck to get out of the way, or ambulance to get out of the way. We're supposed to pull over over if we see flashing lights on the side of the road, if emergency vehicle. And common sense says you've got to get off the elevator before somebody can get on the elevator. That kind of common sense. So we need to encourage the education of the public, and it needs to start even in the grade schools to remind people that they shouldn't be getting in the way of professionals. They might cause further harm by preventing a professional from getting in and doing his job. And maybe that's a message that the schools need to look at as well, in addition to the homeowners. We've got so many canyon areas and cul-de-sacs and places that only you can only get in, and there's not really a readily available access to leave other than one way in, one way out. So we need to make sure that people understand, if you're not going to help and you can't help, at least get out of the way so the professionals can get in there. And I think the sooner we start educating people to that fact, I think it'll help in the long run. It should be a lifelong educational process of keep out of the way and let the professionals get in there and help somebody that they can help. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Clark. Commissioner Andriola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chief Moore, I know really firsthand the commitment you have to messaging and safety, especially with any type of wildfire, any type of emergency. So I'm sure you already have maybe thought about those organizations like the American Red Cross, Living with Fire, and many other organizations to leverage the messaging as they go out with outreach to actually carry forward an opportunity to reiterate the importance of sheltering in place, the importance of actually downloading or uploading the app so that they have the same type of messaging to help. I think spreading the word with as many people as possible, with as many organizations, with your messaging would be really, really helpful. So I just wanted to mention that I know you know these organizations and I've worked with them for many years, but I just wanted to, bring that to the surface, that there's a lot of great organizations that want to do what they can to help our community be safe and to help support you and the great folks who are at the front line. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. The Red Cross has been a fantastic partner for us.
Great. Wonderful. So any other questions on our fire chief report or comments? I'm not seeing any. So we will now move to item 9.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 9 is a recommendation to approve a 2-year interlocal contract between Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District and the state of Nevada, acting by and through the Nevada Division of Forestry, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Effective July 1st, 2023, in the amount of $204,502 per fiscal year, not to exceed $409,004, for the purpose of providing resources, equipment, and financial assistance in the mitigation of emergency fire incidents, and would require the district to pay the state in exchange for the provision of specified emergency fire incident services by the state. This program is very, very important to us. I'll let Chief Eisenhagen go into more depth, but it saves the district millions of dollars over the last decade, probably even tens of millions of dollars in firefighting costs. So Chief Eisenhagen, if you'd go into a little bit more depth on that.
Okay. Again, for the record, August Eisenhagen, Division Chief. I have a lot on the agenda today. Apologize. This is the Wildland Fire Protection Plan, also called the WFPP. Nevada Division of Forestry started this with the local cooperators in the early 2010s. Basically, we buy in with our amount that is created by formula for our risk into the state system, and then they use the money to fund their fire response program, and then we get access to certain things. Those pieces fall under 4 big umbrellas in terms of the benefits to the district. One, we get access to NDF resources for fire response and for project implementation. We've received dozens of free days by their staff when they're not committed to incident, helping us with our fuels management projects. Secondly, no single agency across the country has the has enough equipment or personnel to deal with a catastrophic fire. So we have a nationwide database where we share resources across the country. This is the mechanism that allows Truckee Meadows to participate in that national response, which is of value to us. Case in point, Mr. Nordyke that was just up here this afternoon is jumping on an airplane to go to Alaska to work on aircraft training elements, which then he'll bring that skill set back, and it's a net zero cost to us. Conversely, when we have our catastrophic fires, we use the same system to access resources to help us. Both those mechanisms, the WFPP is what allows us to do that. And then lastly, the big one for TM, it is, in layman's terms, an insurance policy. So we pay into the plan every year. Any scenario where we bear part of the cost for a fire response, and there's a cost share with the federal government, the state of Nevada picks up that cost instead of TM. So it's basically an insurance premium. That video that we just watched from the Rock Farm fire, on that one, if I remember correct, we had 3 VLAT drops. Those drops average $100,000 a piece on that small fire. So most years we save easily more than our buy-in. Some years we don't, but it's an insurance plan. And I'm open to any questions.
Great.
If you have any.
Thank you for that. Any questions by the board? I'm not seeing any. Madam Clerk, is there any public comment on item 9?
There is not.
Okay. I am looking for a motion.
Thank you for the extra explanation on that project. I move to approve the 2-year interlocal contract as outlined in the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia.
I'll second.
Okay, I'm sorry, I heard the vice chair first. And any question on the motion with the motion and second? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, that passes unanimously. And I look to my vice chair. Do you have a block vote for the next items in the agenda?
Yes, I do. Thank
Wonderful.
you, Madam Chair. Item 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment, Madam Clerk, on those items?
There is not.
Okay, and Chief Moore, I don't know if you've done this in the past, but you do not need to read those in, according to our attorney. So with no public comment, and I have a motion from our vice chair, and may I have a second on that block vote, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Andriola. A motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none. Okay. And now we will go to item 14.
Madam Chair,
15.
14
Thank you.
we read already.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for saving my vocal. Item 15 is a recommendation to approve Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District's resolutions TM 08-2023 and TM 09-2023 to augment the district's fiscal year 2022-23 general fund in the amount of $1,100,000 and augment the district's fiscal year 22-23 emergency medical services fund in the amount of $1,100,000 and direct the district to make the appropriate budget adjustments. If there are questions on this, I'll look to Ms. Vance for to answer them, but we're moving money from the general fund to the EMS fund.
Yes, I am looking to my board to see if there's any questions or a need for a presentation. Yes. Is there any public comment on item 15, Madam Clerk?
There is not.
Okay. With that, if there's no questions or comments on this item, I'm looking for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District Resolution TM 08-2023 and TM 09-2023 to augment the district's FY 22/23 general fund in the amount of $1,100,000 and augment the district's FY 22/23 EMS fund in the amount of $1,100,000 and direct the district to make the appropriate budget adjustments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Andriola. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Any question on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Hearing none. That motion passes unanimously, it looks like. Okay, great. And now we will move to item 16. Chief, can you give us some background on this item after you read it into the record?
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll paraphrase this because it is rather
Long.
lengthy and
Yes.
lots of numbers. This is a recommendation to approve salary changes to fire management officer, crew boss, heavy equipment operator, squad boss. And I'll ask Chief Eisenhagen to give a little more background on this, but these costs and increases in salaries are being paid for, I'd say at least 90% by NV Energy through our contract for services that we provide them. So this really isn't being funded to the lion's extent through the taxpayers. It's through the contractual relationship we have with NV Energy. So, Chief, I'll let you explain a little more on that.
Okay, again, August Eisenhagen for the record, Division Chief. So the backstory behind this one, as I mentioned earlier, our initial NV Energy contract was signed in May of 2020. It was up for renewal, obviously, this spring in 2023. We started that process back in August. When we initially stood up the division, class specs were written very broadly. We only hired 4 crew members and a squad boss. The mission complexity was extremely low. They would get on their engine and they'd go respond to a fire, or they would go to project for the day, wherever they were told. As we've built the program rather quickly over the years, those complexities that fall onto those middle management roles have got exponentially increased. So with that, when we started the discussions with NV Energy in August, we went back through and redid these class specifications to truly capture what we were expecting out of these positions. None of our cooperative agencies have positions with similar class specs across the board. So we hired Korn, Ferry to do an analysis, and this is where that process ended up.
Great. And for a little bit of background, could you just kind of explain why we're only looking at this subsection of staff for this?
A few pieces there, like Chief said, the portion, let me back up. The portion of why these came to light right now is because of that timing of the NV Energy contract, because that is our primary funding source. Historically, over the last several years, 93% of my division is funded by external funding sources, NV Energy, Forest Service, sub-grants through the state, and grants from the federal government. But because the backbone of those funding sources is NV Energy, that's why this group got revisited now, because that 3-year contract was coming up.
And
Does that answer the question?
Yes, and if we were to look at any other salaries, that would be as part of the contract negotiations.
Correct.
Okay, with the labor union.
Correct.
And sorry, Chief.
And that will be coming up in January of 23.
Great.
4. Sorry, 24.
And we are working with our labor union on this piece as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great to hear. So I'm looking to the rest of my board if there's questions on this item or clarifications. Commissioner Andriola.
I just really have a statement, and I want to thank you for the clarification. I don't know how I can keep on saying I'm new, but I'm new. I don't know what that period of time window is, but certainly it's very helpful knowing, and thank you again to all of you who were kind enough during the onboarding process to spend time and understand even the NV Energy program. So by you sharing that, I didn't see that anywhere in the report, so that clarification is extremely helpful because in our commission meetings, it's really important that we look at all of the employees and the Korn Ferry study. And so there's things I'm looking for that are outside of scope of this discussion. And so that was very, very helpful, and I appreciate that very much. It really is a differentiation and distinction between what we're doing with this particular item versus what we're looking at, not only with the budget that was recently approved, but the possibility of looking at an augmentation coming back to have retro pay consideration for those employees. So it's outside of the scope, but I felt it was important to share how these little details for someone who's new are really big and very, very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Understood.
Thank you very much. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Garcia?
Just a quick question. So thank you to our NV Energy partners. I mean, this is an incredible gift that they give us annually. So it's a 3-year grant, and what's the process for applying for this grant? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the program is fairly new. We were one of the first agencies that jumped on board, again, spring of 2020. It's not exactly a grant, it's a contract for service where basically all the individuals you see in the back of the room, they're TM employees, first and foremost. They wear our patch. But majority of the days when they're going out to project work, they're working in and around NV Energy infrastructure and defensible space for the homes around that infrastructure. Then we obviously pay them for their time, and then we bill NV Energy on the backside, and they reimburse us. It is a 3-year contract cycle. We just renewed ours, so we're set for the next 3 years. In terms of application process, there isn't really one. NV Energy, when they initially stood up, they reached out to all the local cooperators to see who would be interested. TM was the first one to say we were all in. Now it's up to about 15 cooperators across the state. North Lake Tahoe, Carson City, East Fork, Story County, all the way down to Lincoln County and Elko County, all of them participate. So there wasn't an application process per se. They reached out to see who was interested. We jumped on board, put together a proposal with a budget for personnel and equipment, and they agreed to that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I saw some of your crew working very hard in Washoe Valley. I took a tour of Commissioner Clark's district with some of his constituents last week. So that was a joy to see that, and we really appreciate their hard work. Commissioner Clark, did you sign in? Did you have comments?
I just wanted to thank the whole process with Truckee Meadows working with Nevada Energy. You know, if you look at the big picture, Nevada Energy doesn't want to have their own fire crew. So they hired professionals, our professionals, and allow our professionals to work on other issues that we may need to when they're not addressing the issues that Nevada Energy is requested. So it's a win-win for everyone. Anytime we can reduce fuels around power lines and other rights away from Nevada Energy, the potential savings in the long term is you just can't put a dollar figure on it. So thanks for the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other commissioner comments or questions on item 16? Madam Clerk, is there any public comment?
There is none.
Okay. Then I am looking for a motion at this point.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the salary change recommendations for the 4 positions outlined in the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Andriola, for the second. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Now I'm not sure, are we doing item 17, Chief?
There's no need for item 17, Madam Chair.
Okay, well then we will be moving to item 18.
Item 18 is Commissioners' Fire Chief's announcements, requests for information, topics for future agendas, and statements relating to items not on the agenda, and no discussion among commissioners will take place on this item.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Clark, have you signed in?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I got an email from a constituent, and his name is unimportant. It is important, but I mean, it's not important to the question he asked. And so rather than draw attention to him, I'm just going to go ahead and read the email. It's only a paragraph and a half. Hi, Commissioner Clark. At the May 2nd meeting of the Fire Board, the Fire Chief's report included the response statistic for March 2023. Those statistics included call volume by station that showed 31 calls for the West Washoe Valley Station, station number 30. You asked the chief how that could be since Station 30 has been closed since the beginning of August 2022. The chief told you that he would get back to you. The response statistic for April 2023 being presented this Tuesday, today, still shows 23 calls for West Washoe Valley Station 30. Have you received an answer on this? It may be perfectly innocent, but it sure seems odd at best, especially for those of us disappointed and angry about the closing of Station 30, now years ahead of the opening of its replacement station. Thank you. So the question is, why are we still showing statistics for Station 30 that's been closed?
May I answer? We're not supposed to have a discussion, but I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, there's no discussion.
Okay. So the answer is, Commissioner Clark, that we call that as a response area, what used to be Station 30, so that you can see how many calls are in that area that was formerly served by that fire station. So that's why we break it out separately from the other one.
Fair enough. That's a good explanation. Thank you, sir.
Great. Any other commissioner comments or future agenda item requests? I'm not seeing any. Chief, do you have anything else for us on item 18?
I just want to mention that the first draft of our strategic plan will come to you in September. We're working
Exciting.
hard on that.
I've had some great discussions with our consultant, and I'm hoping that the rest of the board has too. So looking forward to that. Thank you so much. We will now move to item 19.
Item 19 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the Board of Fire Commissioners' agenda. The district will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the Board of Fire Commissioners as a whole.
Madam Clerk.
No one is signed in.
Okay. Well, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your time today, and congratulations on the promotions.